Hey, you guys. Uh, so there is a visa crackdown going on in China right now. And that's why I started this video with this picture here of it's a jail in Dongguan. So you can see it says here, Dongguan 监狱开放日活动. So this is a the Dongguan jail open day activity. It's kind of an open day. I guess that's where some foreigners get to see family members or whatever. There's 500 foreigners in that particular jail. It's just north of Shenzhen. So it's 2009. It's April 22nd, 2019. Whoops. Yeah, 2019. So I don't want to be. This isn't a big doom and gloom video, but it is meant to convey. I want to convey the fact that there have been really big changes over the last 4 or 5 years, but especially in about the last 4 months. I have noticed in Shenzhen, hearing about people, meeting people, talking to people uh, who they've been working at a kid's school or they're married to a Chinese woman, and the cops have come and some of them have been deported, some of them have been, in one case, a guy's wife had to go into the cops and pay a fine of 10,000 renminbi. But they brought him down to the station, and he was lucky. Felt very lucky not to also get put in jail and then deported. Now, one guy, a Canadian friend of mine, whom I worked with at an adult English school, he overstayed his visa by 1 day, and they put him in jail for 30 days. And he told me, I mean, believe me, you don't want to be in a Shenzhen jail. Okay, you don't want to have that happen. They put him in a jail for 30 days and then deported him. End of story. And believe me, he told me, wow, it was awful. The floors were concrete. It was light all day. You could barely sleep. There's 30 people in one big room, etc. So what is happening here? What is going on? Now, the good side of this, I mean, there's a good side, and that is that, you know, salaries are going up for foreigners in China, for foreign teachers, and for absolutely everything, actually. You may have heard that salaries in China are going up. Well, they are. And so you part of this video I want to convey to you guys, if you can't get the work visa, you should you should not come to China. It's not like the past. You may look in some of my older videos. Some of my older videos are very different than this one because there have been huge changes, right? There have been huge changes. So one question is, well, why is this happening? What's the reason? Well, the reason really, if you think about it, it's worth understanding. I think it's worth thinking about it. If you look here, here's a pyramid, right? Remember Pharaoh? Well, essentially, that's kind of like their government structure. And some orders have come down on high, uh, which essentially tell the local government agencies that, look, this is no longer going to be tolerated. All right? It is under no circumstances. Now, not just a few Chinese officials, but I would say 90% of them or more are all on the take. And so if they can find a way to get some cash, they'll do it. And they do that. Um, so there are a lot of people on my channel, perhaps half of the people, who maybe they're Russians or Ukrainians or from Africa, and they're considering coming to China and teaching. Well, those days are over, and believe me, they are really focusing in on arresting people and putting an end to it. So I remember I did a video about 2 years ago, and it addressed the changes a little bit. Maybe it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, but still, it was over 2 years ago, and still most of the jobs are out there were like, hey, we don't care, just come, you can get your job, blah blah blah. So you need to understand that that is no longer an option. Now, the it used to be that if you had your visa, right? If you had your visa and you could get into the country, no one would fuck around with you. No one cared at all. But that is, that's over. Um, so I guess now one caveat here. One caveat. Well, here's the good news. The good news is if you get your work visa, salaries are going up. Okay, salaries are going up. Most of the people I talk with are getting anywhere from 18 to 22,000, 23,000 renminbi. And that's, compared to 3 years ago, that's a big jump, right? That's a big jump. Now everybody knows and is aware, you can do your own internet, your own Google searches, that there are even many factories in China, in fact, are relocating overseas because the cost of labor and wages is rising so much. It's part of China kind of moving up the value chain, right? And they really want to do that. And so the good news of this is that for those other 50% of my YouTube subscribers, you get your China visa and you're really kind of set. I mean, in terms of a pretty darn good salary. It's not like the past. Well, the point is salaries are going up. So this is an update, and you need to bear this in mind when you look at some of my older videos. They'll talk about the fact that the majority of advertisement for jobs don't require a visa. But now it's switched, it's flip-flopped, it's reversed. Now the vast majority are very clear that no, we can't work with you without a visa. And again, that kind of comes back to the fact that in this system, things can change very, very rapidly. I mean, they can change in a heartbeat. If you look here at the you look at the Cultural Revolution, the things that happened, it was these people would run around and, I mean, business. If you were trying to run a private enterprise, you would be thrown in jail, right? You would be thrown in jail. So now, quite the opposite is the case, and that is a huge, huge change that has occurred. And it's occurred in very quick, sort of top down fashion. And that's the way things are here. It's not like with our system where we can have this gridlock in Congress and the status quo, nothing really changes, although it changes sometimes. Um, the bottom line is that in China, things can change very quickly. But as far as market economics and their fundamentally capitalist economic system, and it's wrong. Don't believe people who say they don't have a fundamentally capitalist system. No, they absolutely do. The prices of goods and services, 80% of all goods and services, 85%, they're determined by the market. And that is not a socialist economy. Okay, you need to understand that. Yes, there are state enterprises, and China closes off large sectors in different industries and just gives monopolies to 3 or 4 companies, that sort of thing, and doesn't let foreign companies participate. Yeah, that's you could say socialist. Yeah, I suppose it is, but um, it's fundamentally not that way. At any rate, big changes have happened. You need to be aware of this. And I will say, yeah, there are still places where, hey, Ukrainians or Russians are going there and, working on their tourist visa or their student visa or whatever. And it's because the salaries make it worth it for them. But if you're American, British, Canadian, Australian, uh, South African, I would say don't do it. It's just not worth your while. Um, but again, I don't want us, this isn't doom and gloom. For those 50% of the people who can get their work visa, salaries really are going up.